Welcome everybody to the Storytime channel. My name is Steven, and today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories. Our first story of the day is by Little Wiccan. This is a little bit of a twist. New manager judges someone on how they look, and the unexpected ending. This actually happened to a friend of my stepfather's. The woman in the story is a wonderful, down-to-earth woman who just so happens to be extremely wealthy and owns a lot of local businesses and has a heavy involvement in them. However, doesn't dress like she has money. Pam was out and about one day shopping and had been killing time before an important business meeting and decided to head inside early. Pam had walked in to speak to old manager about the yearly takings and new hires, new manager Inc. She was dressed down as usual, however her hair and occasional makeup were always impeccable. Plus the huge diamond stud in her ear should have been a huge giveaway. New manager was a new hire and had, in the interviews and seemed on paper, been a perfect fit, apart from thinking a little too highly of herself and slightly snooty attitude. However, this was common for this area and the younger generation, so the old manager decided to give her a go and hired her. So Pam walks in early for the meeting and begins browsing like she always does, taking in the aesthetics of the shop, the atmosphere, etc., just waiting for the old manager. New manager sees this and gives Pam a dirty side-eye glance. Pam is checking prices, moving items back to where they should be, and obviously new manager finds this strange. New manager runs over looking annoyed, shouting at Pam to stop touching the products, that they are obviously well out of her price range and they do not allow people in to just browse. She rips the product out of Pam's hands, insisting that she should not be in the store. She is definitely not the type of client they cater for and she must leave. "You're putting off real customers," she said. Pam just stares at the new manager, wide-eyed and open-mouthed, while the new manager is attempting to hustle Pam towards the outside door. Pam, without saying a word, shoves off the new manager and storms past her, through the back and into the back office. New manager runs after her, screaming that she definitely can't be back there and that if she doesn't leave, she will call the police and she, Pam, will be arrested. At this point, other staff members, some who know Pam, have tried explaining to this new manager but can't over her screaming, and customers are just standing there watching all this unfold. When the new manager makes it into the office, she finds Pam on the office phone just starting a conversation. New manager screams again that she, Pam, cannot be back here, all the while grabbing for the office phone. A few moments later, old manager rushes into the back office, mobile phone in hand and a shocked expression on her face. New manager doesn't see this and again screams at Pam that she can't be back here and that she, the new manager, is going to call the police and have Pam arrested. Pam has had enough now and shouts, "What? You'll have me arrested from a store that I own?" Pam attempts to shout over new manager's screaming. She hadn't noticed old manager run in, went as follows. Pam says, "Old manager, can you please calm this girl down? Explain to her who I am, why I'm here, and please tell me what in the world you were thinking when you took her on?" With this, new manager suddenly pipes down and looks round. She heard what Pam had said, but it obviously took a few minutes to process. Old manager is standing open-mouthed like a goldfish gasping for air, while Pam is as cool as a cucumber, turning to make herself a coffee. Old manager suddenly remembers how to breathe and speaks and chokes out. "New manager, this is Pam, our owner and landlord. This whole row of shops belongs to her and she has come in today to go over the yearly takings and to help review the new hires we've taken on. Pam has a very active role in her business. Although she is not always seen by all staff, she is heavily involved in everything that is done and every decision made. This makes her a great owner and businesswoman as she knows everything that goes on with her companies and she is always fair." Now it was new manager's turn to be wide-eyed and open-mouthed. Pam sat down in the office chair, coffee in hand, and smiled at old manager. "Come sit," she said to old manager and patted a chair next to her. Now Pam was never a lady to raise her voice. To be honest, she didn't need to. When she spoke, there was a certain air of authority about her, usually twinged with kindness and smiles. Not today, however. Pam simply explained that the one thing she hated most in this world was being treated differently. To her, it didn't matter if you had but a penny or £1,000,000. pounds, she would still treat you the same. That was the motto of her business, and this girl had gone against everything she had believed in. Everything her and her husband had worked so hard for all these years. This was truly unacceptable and would not be tolerated. Who knows how many potential customers she had chased away just because of how they look. So it's safe to say new manager lost her job. And after, everyone in the community had heard about who she was, what she had done, and how she had treated Pam. No one wanted to employ her as a manager or anything else. Yes, Pam and her husband were extremely wealthy, but it was all hard work and effort that got them there, and they would have never have done it without the people who had been there for them when they started out with nothing. They never forgot who they were or where they came from, and always treated everyone they met with kindness and compassion. Do you personally believe that some stores should have some level of dress code or appearance code? Or do you think that as long as you comply to the basic dress code rules of pretty much any store, that every store, no matter how expensive, should allow those patrons in? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by That Calamity There. I don't work here, but I know the answers. A couple towns away from my current residence, while running errands, I came across this massive Joan Fabrics. It was very conveniently located right next to the store I was needing to pick something up from. So, being the crafty nerd that I am, I couldn't resist venturing inside this behemoth of a hobby house. I wandered a bit aimlessly, dazed by all the "ooh, shiny" moments I was having, when I found myself in front of a clearance section in the back. As I admired how even their clearance section was delightfully organized, I saw someone approach me from an adjacent aisle out of the corner of my eye. "Excuse me, but do you have any idea how to find the price on this? There are so many stickers, but none of them have the price." I turned to find a woman in her 50s with graying blonde, bobbed hair, staring at me plaintively, clutching a large box of glass mason jars to her chest. Her tone of voice suggested that she didn't actually think I worked there, but it was obvious her confused frustration had her vocally reaching out to the nearest person in the vicinity. She might have just been looking for someone to commiserate with her about the confusing number of barcodes the single box had been slathered with, but she lucked out. I had worked for several years at a big box craft store in the days of yore and had the answers she needed. I recognized those tricksy shipping barcodes, bane of all new retail employees just trying to find the right darn barcode to scan. I pointed out the small one on the bottom corner of the box, printed on the cardboard beneath the plastic wrap. "Well, that's the one they'll need to scan, but..." The unspoken words of "there's no price near it" hung in the air as she turned to where she had found the box. I noted that all of the pricing stickers usually placed on the shelves beneath various items had been removed, so there was genuinely no hint as to the possible cost of any of the items on that aisle. But then I remembered a price scanner I had seen a couple aisles away next to the ribbon. I literally had the thought, "A price scanner, neat," as it flashed red in my eyes from being placed rather oddly high on a pole. I conveyed as much to the woman about there being a price scanner nearby, not that it so scandalously flashed me, and proceeded to hunt down the ribbon aisle while she followed me. I gave myself a mental high five for remembering the location correctly and showed her how to use the scanner. $15.99. She looked crestfallen. "That's a bit much. I guess I'll go put this back." As she turned to leave, I pulled out my phone. "Do you have their app? They might have a good coupon going on." Not sponsored, I swear. She stopped, acknowledged my comment with a hopeful tone, and begun trying to dig her phone out of her pocket while I pulled up the app. I scrolled through the coupons and found a lovely little 50% off coupon. I showed her my phone screen. I watched as the mental calculations occurred, and then her face became bright with happiness. "I'm going to go get a bigger box. Thank you so much," she enthusiastically called over her shoulder as she hurried back to the bulk jar section. I might have been a little bit ridiculous after that, strolling out of there like I was king, thinking, "I made them a sale and I don't even work here. They should just hire me now. I'd do really well here. I know most of the..." Oh snap, is that 60% off? And that was my rather undramatic "I don't work here lady" experience. Might be a bit boring, but it made me really freaking happy to make someone else happy, and you guys don't seem to get much of that on this sub. The like, all parties satisfied type of thing, I mean. It's definitely true that we end up with stories with one or both parties ending up being pretty darn unhappy. I gotta admit, when you started going to convenience stores and those price scanners started popping up on the poles around the store, when I was a kid, I thought that was the best invention ever. You know what that meant? It meant I could grab any toy and go find the exact price without begging my parents for it. This next story is by Hamtron, but you're working here. Alright, bit of a backstory. I worked for my friend in my 20s. Job was kind of near. We built display furniture, exercise equipment, bicycles, whatever they wanted really, for a large box store. I will omit the name, but I'll give you a few hints. We weren't employees of the company, we were subcontractors. So we would have to sign into the visitor book and take a visitor badge. A big blue name tag that looks similar to the employee's name tag, but it clearly says visitor. I understand the frustration people have. Finally, they find someone working here and are met with, "Sorry, I don't work here, I'm just building these 200 bicycles." One day, I will never forget it. The store manager tells us as they're receiving a truck in the back room that instead of building the bikes in the back like we usually do, we need to build them on the sales floor. Fine. Whatever. We wheel the bikes down to the aisle that they have set up for us. They rope it off so people aren't supposed to enter. They do anyway, and we build some junk. Usually I'm met with pleasant people who understand I'm a contractor and don't actually work for the store. Until a woman taps me on the shoulder. I grumble because I know where this is going. The sea cow says, "Can you tell me how much this is?" I say, "Sorry, I don't work here." The manatee says, "Yes, you do. You're working here. Tell me how much this is." I say, "I am just building the bikes here. I don't actually work for this company." Karen says, "I want to speak to your manager. I don't know why you aren't helping me. I want to know how much this yarn is." I say, "Look, I am living and I am here. But I don't live here. I am working and I am here, but I don't work here." Karen stomps off and comes back with the manager that put us out on the sales floor. The manager says, "These guys don't work here. They just build the bikes for the store." Karen stomps off, defeated. I will say, you can't blame people for mistaking them as employees, but you can blame the people for acting like absolute jerks to those people. The bottom line is what separates a good person from a Karen is just don't treat people like scum. And our final story of the day is by Sign Kitchen. I'm using sign language with my deaf wife. My wife is deaf. I'm hearing. We communicate primarily in sign language, especially when we're out of the house, since masks make any lip reading impossible. Last night, we go to our local liquor store to pick up a fancy bottle of scotch to celebrate some good fortune in our lives. While the actual manager is grabbing the bottle from above the fancy scotch case, we're standing off to the side and having a little signed conversation. A group of 6 people, 3 couples, walks up, probably all in their early to mid-60s. Their ringleader walks up to me and parks his cart in front of me. Ringleader says, "Chilled whites." I, stopping my signed conversation and turning around, "Huh? Where are the chilled whites?" Me still trying to get my bearings at what the heck he was talking about. "Do you guys have chilled white wine?" "I have no idea, dude. Do you think I work here?" "Oh, I just saw you gesturing, like you worked here." I'm using sign language with my deaf wife. Ringleader didn't even apologize. He just stood there stunned for a few seconds, then slunk off, with 4 out of 6 of them trailing. The last couple stopped and the lady turns to us in perfect fluent sign language and says, "I'm really sorry about that." Turns out she was a deaf educator for a while. We had a pleasant little chat where I explained that it was fine. I'm used to being mistaken as a manager, just not when I'm with my wife, since most people are terrified to approach a signing couple. So yeah, I'm simultaneously ashamed and honored to finally have a story to post on this sub. It seems like an honest enough mistake, but it kind of goes back to what I said after the last story where if you're a jerk, it instantly becomes a totally unpleasant and offensive experience. If you're somebody that goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just mistook you for a manager," that's all there would be to it, and it would be a pleasant experience. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.